2014, a young writer, lawyer, and activist tried to run for House of Representatives and lost. Then she wrote about her experience to prepare the next set of candidates so that what happened before, make it not happen again. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ayisha Osori. Please, a round of applause. Welcome, please. Ayisha, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I love female politicians. You know, yeah, they bring a lot of hope and freshness to the polity. Okay, welcome you.
Thank you.
Yes, I've seen your book, very interesting and very revealing. You said our political system is designed to make sure that the best of us don't rule us. Please explain.
Well, what I found out is that by the time we're waving our PVCs around on election day, 80% of the battle for decent leadership has already been lost. Why? Because of how the party primaries are structured, starting from the way the delegates are selected. So it's a managed process, which is designed almost like a factory. So when you have a factory line, it's designed for a certain product to come out at the end. And so any deviation from the normal is sort of pushed to the side until you get what you want. So that's what I meant. So we need to be paying attention to what's going on inside the political parties. It's great that we're all excited about voting.
Basically,
but what's happening in the parties?
The elections are rigged at the primary stage.
That's the first level of rigging.
Yes, we've had that over and over again. And one will naturally ask, so what was the goal of, you said your goal of contesting is to demystify the polity.
What's part of it?
What's part of it? Yeah. Which means you probably had an insight into this setup where it is half rigged before election day.
I would say more than half rigged.
and you went into it to demystify it. How did it turn out?
Well, I learned a lot. So let's put it this way. I considered myself fairly educated, but by going through this process, this experience showed me that I really didn't know much. That when it comes to politics, it's not about...
Now, imagine that you tried and you don't know much. So imagine Nigerians watching this thing and talking about politics.
We don't know anything.
We don't know anything.
We don't know anything. We're being taken for granted. And they like it that way. So that's part of the reason why I wrote the book, because I realized that we lack the real information about what's going on inside the parties and how our political process works. And I like the energy that we're all having right now, PVC, everybody's excited, sleeping in lines. And I want to encourage that. But at the same time, we should be telling the parties, give us better candidates. Why is it that since 1999, you won't say that much has changed? Even when the party that's ruling at the center, or even at the states, changes, nothing really changes much in the quality of our lives and the quality of governance. It tells us something is wrong.
The more we move forward, the more we stay in one place.
The more we're not going anywhere. We're like rocking back and forth.
Okay. You also said that there's a big disconnect between the older people, the old generation who have enjoyed the best that can come out of this country, and the new generation who spend excessive amount of time on frivolities on social media. Okay, so
but those are my exact words.
Yeah, okay.
Let me know. Not.
But most of them are. Okay. That's the way you put it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Since there's this big disconnect, who is to blame and how do we fix it?
I don't really like the blame game. I would say we all have our responsibilities, but I would put the bulk of the responsibilities on the older ones. Now, in my book, people say they love my mother's character, but at the same time, I blame her generation in a way. Because I say to her, when you were going to ABU, you told me that you had one room to a person. They used to wash your clothes.
Yes.
You used to have proper food, like dinner with dessert. Go to ABU right now. It's not like that. So what happened in between?
What happened between your generation and this generation?
Exactly.
Now, she's been talking about her book, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we'll talk so much more about this book. Keep watching. Don't even go anywhere. Thank you. It's still the other news. We'll hear from our correspondent, Binta Badmos, in a bit. But we are still talking to the very, very special guest, Ayisha. Ayisha, yes, as we are talking about this, your wonderful book. I love this book, and I think anybody who loves this country should look at it, not just politicians.
Thank you.
Anybody who loves the country.
Yeah.
It's very insightful.
Thank you.
All right. Your advice to aspirants is don't be unemotional, the way you put it. Be unemotional but strategic in selecting your political platform.
Sure.
Yes. What do you mean by that?
Well, okay, like, so for example...
When you say unemotional.
Yeah, so basically...
That's remove emotion from this thing.
You might think, like right now, for example, APC seems to be disliked. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
People are disappointed.
Yes.
So somebody who is thinking of running for the first time might say to themselves, I will go anywhere but APC. I'm just using this as an example.
Yes.
And I'm saying, well, assess your environment carefully. You might find that within your environment, so for example, maybe your environment has PDP as the ruling party and they're equally as dissatisfied. Yeah. So you might not think that you like APC, but if you do a check of your environment, your local environment, and you see that APC has a chance, then go with them. That's what I mean by being unemotional. Yeah. Because the truth is, at the end of the day, the internal processes in APC and internal processes in PDP are pretty much the same. The parties are the same. The people between them are fluid, they keep moving, and the way they're structured and designed are the same. So don't be emotional about it. Now, but if you want to be a maverick, you can look at other parties, the new ones, who haven't won any elections. But if you are determined to win... So the emotional part, if I understand it clearly, the emotional part is don't get carried away by happenings around you. So, and the strategic part is what? Strategic part is, okay, so if you know that your governor, you and your governor, the governor who is finishing his second term is about to leave office, and you know he wants to go to the Senate. Yes. Don't say you want to go to Senate for the same seat that he wants. Of course. You know you can never win. No, we know you can never win. Yes. That's also part of that's part of being strategic. Yeah. So go for something else. That's it. Just do your analysis.
I think there's a lot of sense in that. I think because
we know what our politics tells us. Our politics tells us that we don't like it, but our politics tells us that the Senate is now the retirement home of most governors. So if a governor wants to go there, just leave that space for him.
All right. Some people think the big masquerade comes out first. But you say in politics, the big masquerade comes out last. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I said that was while I was...
Why does the big masquerade come out last anyway in politics?
No, it's actually in the book, the big masquerade comes out first. So the story is that the big masquerade, you save the best for last. Okay. But in politics, they tell you, go and meet the Godfather. The Godfather is the biggest masquerade. Yes. So when you're starting your journey, they say, go and meet the Godfather. So you're basically seeing the biggest masquerade first. And that's because you need the Godfather's blessing and for him to open the doors.
Because I know that the proverb is the big masquerade comes last. But you're saying in politics,
it comes first.
The big masquerade comes first.
Yes, now, because you have to go and get the blessing of the Godfather. The Godfather is the biggest masquerade in the party. And you must
so there's no way we can do this politics without these godfathers?
We can, if we're determined to. But you see, the only way we can do that is if we're ready to fund the parties. What makes the Godfather powerful? He's the one that pays he pays for the party. Yeah. He pays for events. So when me and you join parties, when we're card-carrying members who pay dues, then we can now make the decisions. Wow,
that's, every time we talk on this show about politics, this issue of Godfather, keeps rearing up. Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's nothing we can do about Godfatherism in Nigerian politics.
Me and you can do something.
Okay, but I like the fact that, I told you in the beginning that I like the fact that women are playing bigger roles. Women like you, especially young women too.
I laughed when you called me young, Sha. Are you using PDP definition of youth, Abi?
Okay, I thought it was more acceptable to call a woman young. Thank you. But if you're saying old now, I don't mind.
You're playing to the gallery, no wahala.
Yes, I'm being unemotional now. Thank you. And very strategic. Okay.
You are.
All right. You said for women to succeed in politics, they need the support of mothers, sisters, and are you saying that men are not reliable?
Nah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that in our culture, men don't think creating a home and building a home is their responsibility. And that's so, for me, that's where sisters and mothers come in. So because many times you hear that women are struggling with politics because of the movement, the demands on time. And of course, you deal with guilt. You are leaving your children behind. You want to make sure your children are secure. Yeah. So that's why I said for me, in terms of a support system for female politicians, if you're married with children, yeah, your mothers and your sisters are your best friends. Your friends are your best. They're the ones who will support you.
You're talking about the support system here.
Yes, exactly.
Lots of other people too, say here that, it's not... I think one of the reasons people say it's not the time for women is because of some preconceived notions people have about women in politics. Sure. Those stereotypes, do you think it's true?
Of course not. I mean, Who will say their mama soup no sweet?
Yeah.
I can't say that now, but I would say
so
that...
like if you have a young daughter who's interested in politics, you say go ahead.
Of course, but then
Because people believe here that it affects marriage.
Of course, people
that
believe
once
that.
these girls don't tear eye for politics.
No, in fact, no, the truth is,
control her.
the real reason, there's that. But they're even also saying that it's because you don't have a man, that's why you want to go into politics. And that's also interesting. So they say to you, if you see a woman, they say if she don't get a man, that's why she wants to go there.
Is it true?
I don't think so. And again...
But do you have a man?
Yes, now. Plenty.
I just, you know...
Plenty.
Yes. No, hold on.
Why not?
Plenty?
Plenty men now. I have sons, I have brothers. There are many men in my life. Are they not men? What are they?
Oh, good.
No, but to be honest, we should ask, what is politics and governance about? Is it to serve or is it to eat? Is it to loot or is it to work for the people? If it's to work for the people, then you will not care whether women are there or not. But it's because in Nigeria, government office is to steal. That this issue of does she have a man or not have a man, because there's that patriarchal thing that men look after women. Yeah. So the whole thing is, oh, a woman coming in is because she needs to look after herself. It could be that a woman wants to serve her community, has lived as a Nigerian in a community where nothing works, and thinks she can do better.
Anyway, from what, yeah, good. From what we've said about politics, from what we've said and what you've seen about politics, it appears to me that there are really no rules. There are rules, but in some ways there are no rules.
They are gangster rules.
So, do you think do you think we should play by the rules or not by the rules? Because oftentimes we find that those who play by the rules don't succeed.
Of course.
Those who play outside the rules get what they want.
I think, oddly enough, in politics, it's very much by the rules, and if you follow it, you're likely to win. I think we need to disrupt the rules, actually. The rules of politics need to be disrupted. We've been playing by the same rules since the 60s. I'm telling you.
Yes.
If you look at how our parties are structured, the way our primaries run, nothing much has changed.
So
we need to change the rules. But to change the rules, you must understand the rules first, the existing rules, which is why I wrote the book. This is the reality today. You must understand it, appreciate it, understand how it works. Then we can disrupt it. Then we can take it apart and build something else. All
right. Your beautiful book says love does not win elections. Why that title?
People ask that question all the time, but I'll tell the truth. How much time do I have for this answer?
I would think that you need to love the one you're voting for. You need to love whoever
and
you
the
want to go.
people need to love you.
And people need to love you. So
Fantastic.
Why love does not win
I'll
elections?
keep telling everybody how the name of this book. It took me almost 2 years to write this book. And the name was the last thing that came to me. I'd been calling it some very bland name.
It is a catchy title.
So how did the name come to me? We were discussing Fashola, right? People loved Fashola before he became Minister of Works. I don't know if they still love him, but they loved him before. When he was governor, they loved him.
You have a good point.
And there were all these, there were all these polls where they would say, "Who do you want to be president?" And Fashola's name will always come up.
Yes, always come up. Yes.
Thank you. So it was.
But I don't think it will be the same situation.
No, but one time he was loved.
Yes.
And so the question came: as loved as Fashola was at the end of 2015 when his second term was over, was he loved enough by the people to anoint another governor of Lagos State? Was he loved enough to put a House of Reps member into office?
I see your point.
The owners of the structures
took their structure
and
left him stranded.
He never even had any. He never had any. Yeah. Being governor doesn't mean...
So he was counting on the love of the people.
He thought he was loved. And that's what many people... Me too, I thought I was loved. My delegates told me they loved me. The ward chairman told me they loved me. They hated the other guy. So I need to go and review this love that people are loving me or claiming that they love me. Don't believe... Not when it comes to Nigerian politics. As you said, it should be about love. It should be love of country, love of community, love of the people. Yes. And it should be reciprocated. But it's not. I mean, again, it explains why if you have, and I'm going to use a senator now who was a governor who I don't like his values. Senator Yerima, former Governor Yerima. Yeah. Why should that man win any election anyway? Do we love him?
That's a big question.
We don't love him, but he keeps winning.
That's a big question. So anyway, now, you've made very, very, very key points. So now that your eyes have opened and you've realized that this it's not about love.
It's not about love.
Any plans to run again?
I don't. I surrender. I've given my love to the people with my book.
Yes.
It's my gift to the world.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for making time to spend with us.
Thank you.
All right. Whoa, it's been amazing. Well, now you know that it's not just a love matter. Your eyes have to be there, your mind. All right.